Hey guys, welcome back to another Camera Foundry product video. In this one, we're talking about the VideoDock. I made a video about this project over on my other main channel, DSLR Video Shooter, so you can check that out for more information. But in short, it's a video streamer, recorder, and monitor kit all in one using some 3D printed parts to connect different gear. So what we're going to do is talk about the kits that you can purchase, how to put it together, and then for those of you who want to 3D print this on your own, some things to keep in mind when it comes to slicing. Okay, first let's talk about the available kits and how they're configured. There are going to be 3 different ways you can purchase the VideoDock. There are 2 kits and then a digital download. So kit A is going to include the base unit, which is how you can mount your Streamer X, as well as the monitor mounting system, allowing you to put a video recorder or just basic monitor on top of the Streamer X. Kit B includes the base as well as the SSD module for the Ninja 5. So if you want that SSD compatibility, this is the kit you want to pick up. And we'll also be selling just the Ninja module separately for those who maybe down the road want to pick it up. This second kit will also come with the SSD handles and screws needed to use it with Samsung SSDs. The third way you can purchase the VideoDock is just a digital file that you can 3D print yourself. These will come with some STL files that you can go ahead and throw in your printer, and we'll talk about slicing those files at the end of this video. All right, so now let's jump into building the Streamer X and everything you're going to need. Below this video, I'll include links to everything mentioned so you can hunt down all the different parts. And keep in mind, if you're going to be purchasing these kits, they come with all the screws you need. That said, if you're going to be using the SSD module, there is 2 things you're going to need to purchase, and we'll talk about that. To build a VideoDock, you will need the following: a Rode Streamer X, the Atomos Ninja 5 or another monitor, the VideoDock base, the Ninja SSD module kit if you're going to use the Ninja recorder. So first we're going to take our Streamer X and remove the sticky feet on the bottom. You can pop these off with a flathead screwdriver, and we're going to be reusing them in a second. Place the Streamer X onto the VideoDock base. There are 2 little tubes that fit into large holes underneath the Streamer X to help with alignment. Next, we can take a 3/8 long 1/4-20 flathead screw and secure the Streamer X to the VideoDock. With the VideoDock base installed, we can now take those rubber feet we took off earlier and apply them to the bottom of the VideoDock. Now we can start working on the monitor mount. Take the 3D printed monitor tube part and attach it to the VideoDock using the 2 3D printed knurled knobs. Now you can take the monitor mount and attach it to a recorder or monitor using another 3/8 long 1/4-20 flathead screw. From there, use 2 M4x18 flathead screws to secure the monitor mount to the monitor tube. Now you have an adjustable swivel mount for your display. If you're using the Ninja 5 and want to use Samsung SSDs, as well as adding a USB SSD dock to the setup, you can add the SSD module. To install it, first order one of these SATA to SATA adapters and use 2 M3x10 panhead screws to bolt it to the SSD module like this. From there, you can pick up a SATA to USB adapter so that you can connect this whole thing to your computer and connect and read SSDs. For now, we can slide the entire SSD module onto the back of our Ninja 5 and use another 3/8 long 1/4-20 flathead screw to secure the top of the module to the top of the Ninja 5 so it doesn't slide back out. Optionally, you can 3D print one of these cool SSD handles for better ergonomics and identification, and this is included in the 3D print files, which are all down in the description. Now, of course, you don't have to use the Ninja 5. You could go with a regular camera monitor and attach it to the top and skip all the SSDs. All right, boys and girls, now we're in Slicer and we're going to talk about slicing these files if you're going to 3D print them yourselves. So here I have all of the STLs associated with the VideoDock, and so you're going to get all of these files. We're going to start by talking about the base. So this one is going to be pretty straightforward. We have the orientation as you see it here on screen. So we're just sitting on the base. Everything's at a 45 degrees, so it should print fine. For settings, I recommend probably 0.2 for your layer height is what I recommend. So I'm here in Prusa Slicer. You can use whatever slicer you want, of course, but probably 0.2 is the minimum. And then I've been printing them at 0.2 myself. And the reason for that is the threads. there are 1/4 threads built into the model, as you can see here. Let me turn off these silly warnings here. So you want it to be somewhat detailed. Now, if you're not going to use those, they'll probably work fine if you did something like 0.3. But yeah, probably 0.15 or 0.2 is what I would recommend for that. So that's the orientation there. Let's go ahead and get rid of that file and bring in our next file, which is going to be the tube. This one is just pointed or printed vertically here. So if you slice it, you'll obviously see we have a little bit of an overhang or bridging underneath, but that shouldn't be an issue because it's, pretty small. So we've had no problems with this. One thing I would recommend is setting your seam to be at the rear of the file. So every slicing software is different, but if you go to printer settings in Prusa Slicer and then layers and perimeters, I would recommend going down here to advanced and then the seam position. I'm going to set that to rear, go back to the platter and make sure that this line right here is facing on the back of my printer. So here's the front of the printer. We've got that in the back. That way, when we slice this bad boy, you can see it's going to create a line right down the back and it's going to line it up. Otherwise, you're going to have little blobs and little dots all over your print and it won't be nice and smooth like our final prints here at Camera Foundry. And for quality, I would recommend, again, something a little higher because we have some M4 threads here as well as the large threads on either end for our knob, which is our next file. So let's go ahead and get rid of our tube here and bring in our knob. So this one has a lot of fine detail with the knurling here as well as a thread. So this is the orientation we've printed ours at and had no issues here. I would recommend going with a higher quality here. So we print this at 1 or 0.15 in Prusa. So that's how we roll with that file. Again, very straightforward. Let's delete that and move on to the monitor mount. This one doesn't have any threads, so you could print it at really any quality. And this is the orientation we go with to avoid any overhangs. So that one's super easy. Let's delete that and move on to the beast, which is the Ninja SSD module. So this one gets printed in this orientation. Decent amount of contact at the bottom. Do be aware there's some bevels here, but everything's at 45 degrees, so we have no supports, and really none of these files need supports. So this one's going to take a long time. So again, we have a couple threads here. These are M3, so they're very fine. I would recommend a higher quality. And if you don't want to print the whole thing at a high quality, you could just do it at like 0.20 as an example. And then in some software you can turn on, where you just, those couple of thread layers, make that a little finer like you see here. All right, so let's go ahead and delete that and move on to our final file, which is the SSD handle. So we print it like you see here, upside down. No threads on this one. There are some small countersunk holes there for the M3 screws. So that's all you're going to need there. Last but not least, here's a hardware list of everything you use for this project. So just what you need if you're only going to be using the base and the monitor mount, and then everything needed for the SSD module and the SSD handle. One note I'll add here is that if you're not using the Ninja 5, you might need a slightly longer 1/4-20 flathead screw. Some monitors, that 1/4-20 thread on the base is really deep, so you might need something slightly longer. So just keep that in mind. But for most of the monitors I tested, the 3/8 long is fine. So that's going to wrap up this video talking about the VideoDock. A lot of fun designing this project, and you can check it out over at Camera Foundry and take a look at all the kits and how they're available. And I'm always open to feedback, of course. So that's going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in our next project.